Hello, every girls. Welcome back to the show. I know many of you are here because you are obsessed with your 10-step morning routine. You never miss a Pilates class and you love a superfood smoothie. You want to optimize your well being. You want to feel as good as possible. And you know that your health is the most important currency there is because it buys you more time and it allows you to make the most out of this one life that we get to live. But I have to tell you something that might surprise you. Something that honestly, when I learned this, it changed the way I think about wellness altogether. You may be doing all of the right things. You're tracking your steps, you're meal prepping, you're putting your legs up the wall at night. And that's what we think wellness is, right? We define our health as if it's a formula made up of diet, exercise, and maybe some sleep and stress thrown in there. But what if I told you that the most important piece of your health has nothing to do with what you eat, how often you work out, or how early you wake up? What if I told you that the healthiest thing you could possibly do for yourself is to say yes to that dinner with friends or to text someone back with a real plan instead of yeah, let's catch up sometime, or to prioritize game night over an early morning gym session? What if I told you that sitting at a Thanksgiving table with people you love, as many of us will this week, while devouring copious amounts of mashed potatoes and pumpkin pie, would actually be more beneficial for your health than any superfood smoothie or Pilates class ever could be? Because here's what research has found: the number one predictor of health and longevity is your relationships. Not celery juice, not your morning routines, not even Erewhon smoothies. It's your people, your relationships, the community that you have around you, however big or small it is. So, in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through the mind blowing research that proves community is the ultimate wellness hack, and it matters way more than diet or exercise ever could. For starters, this is not a guilt trip because you love your hot girl walk in silence or to make you feel like you should never skip a party because your social battery is drained. I am a big fan of alone time too. Okay. I honestly, no one believes me, but I do believe I'm introverted. Yes, of course, how you eat and move and take care of your body and spend time with yourself and the relationship you have with yourself and your recharge time, all of this is crucial for your well being. But I want to open the conversation about what health actually looks like because we have lost the plot. If you scroll TikTok right now, wellness looks like this: it's $15 smoothies, sunrise workouts, red light masks, protein powder that probably cost more than my rent in college, and like 20-step morning routines. Wellness has become aesthetic. It's the clean girl, matcha core, soft life era, but also somehow really intense and high achieving. Like if you're not working on yourself, if you're not glowing up, if you're not in your winter arc, are you even doing life right? And listen, I'm all for a matcha and a Sunday reset. I'm a wellness editor. I am a health coach. Like, I'm bought in. Okay. You guys know I love my health hacks, my superfoods, prioritizing my body. But here's the problem. Here's my problem with it. Somewhere along the way, wellness stopped being about feeling good and started being about control. Controlling what you eat, controlling your schedule, controlling your body. And when we become obsessed with control, the first thing that we sacrifice is connection. We skip dinner plans because we are prioritizing our rest, or we turn down birthday cake because we're being healthy, we're being good. We cancel a friend date because we have to get up early for the gym. And maybe sometimes those choices are really the more nourishing choices for us. But what I see happening, especially in the name of health, is that we are isolating ourselves. We are doing self care in a way that is actually self abandoning. Like, let's be real. You can do your Pilates, drink your water, take your magnesium, and you can still feel deeply alone and sad. I think this idea of wellness is actually making us feel alone because if we have an early gym session, we can't go out with our friends the night before. Or if we're on a strict diet, bummer. The restaurant that our friends are going to doesn't have anything for me to eat, so I'll just stay home instead. The wellness culture that we are so deeply invested in might not just be emotionally exhausting, it might be physically hurting us. When we don't question that loneliness, when we don't recognize how much it's costing us, we actually believe that skipping the gym is more harmful than skipping a phone call from our sister. That missing a day of clean eating is worse than missing a night laughing with our best friends. So, my point is that the wellness culture that we are so deeply invested in might be physically hurting us because all the supplements, workouts, biohacks in the world doesn't measure up to what we're about to talk about, which is the scientific proof that connection is the most important factor for all assets of your physical health and well being. And I have receipts. Okay. I am a Bravo girl. I know I have to bring receipts. Because I know some of you right now are probably thinking, okay, sure, Josie, I get it. Community is important, la, la, la. But is it really that serious? Or like, yeah, we're supposed to be happy and connect to our health, whatever, but I still have to prioritize my routines first and foremost in order to lose weight or whatever other health goal that you have, maybe because you're supposed to. So, if that's coming to mind for you, I have proof. Let's start with a famous study that you might have heard before. In 2010, researchers analyzed over 148 studies involving over 300,000 people, and they found that loneliness, or what they called weak social ties, was just as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. In other words, being lonely, not having close community or friendships, is as dangerous to your health as chain smoking, nearly 2 packs of cigarettes every single day. You might have heard of the study before. It's now super famous. And it was one of the factors that prompted the US Surgeon General to declare that we are living in a loneliness epidemic because our society and how isolating our environment is not just impacting our mental well being. It's not just a mental health issue, it is an epidemic. It's a full blown public health crisis. The data shows that the less connected we are, the more likely we are to die early. Loneliness is quite literally poisoning us. It is the same effect as if we're smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And we design entire wellness routines around detoxing from caffeine or sugar or toxins that we can't even pronounce. We know to never ever pick up a cigarette if we want to be healthy. But detoxing from isolation, of course, isn't a thing. We don't take loneliness as seriously as we take smoking a cigarette. And like I was saying earlier, we even lean more into isolation in the name of health. Follow up studies in 2015 and 2017 backed this up and even suggested that loneliness can be more dangerous to your health than obesity or physical inactivity. Like literally sitting alone on your couch with a salad is likely doing so much worse for your health than laughing over margaritas with your best friends. But it's not just about what loneliness does to us, it's about what connection can do for us, which I'm much more of a positive health kind of girl. Like, I don't like to think as much about what's bad for us. I like to know what's good for us. So, here is the good news with all of that. That same 2010 study found that people with strong social connections had a 50% lower risk of mortality. Like, name one supplement that could promise to cut your risk of death in half. If there were that supplement, every single one of us would be taking it. Now, here's some more research. This is probably one of my favorite studies in the world. I'm such a nerd that I have a favorite study, but this study identified something called the Roseto effect. So, back in the 1960s, doctors started noticing something really strange, abnormal about the town of Roseto, Pennsylvania. People there had dramatically lower rates of heart disease, obesity, and heart attacks compared to nearby towns and the general US average at the time. These people in Roseto, Pennsylvania were not particularly fit. They were not active. Their diets were high in saturated fats, like high in fried food. They weren't, out here eating kale and going to workout studios. It's not like they had especially great healthcare or knew how to biohack. And yet, they were living dramatically longer, healthier lives. They had lower rates of obesity, heart disease, everything. So it's also not just about longevity, it was also about weight, which I know is a common goal people want to hear about. So researchers were perplexed, okay? And they dove in, they did all this research, and what they found was this. The difference wasn't in the food or movement, as they previously assumed. It was in the community. Roseto was built on multi generational homes, daily rituals built around community, and a culture of social cohesion and support. So these people didn't just have friends, they relied on each other. They showed up for each other. They had deep community. So it was a very religious area. So you would get together with your faith community multiple times a week. Grandparents wouldn't be going into retirement homes. They would live with their children and grandchildren. Being with friends and family was a daily part of life. This study became so famous, the term the Roseto effect is now used to describe the phenomenon where tight knit communities experience better health outcomes, regardless of diet or exercise. So, yes, you can eat all your leafy greens and lift weights, but if you are not nurturing your relationships, you are missing out on the most powerful wellness tool that we have. We also see this concept show up in the research done for the blue zones. You guys know I am a geek for the blue zones. If you're not familiar, they are the places with the longest living populations in the world. I just saw the longevity researcher Dan Buettner. He's basically like the blue zone guy speak when I was at the Wellness Summit, Eudaimonia, and I am just absolutely obsessed with his work. But of course, a key factor that every blue zone has in common is that it's built entirely around community. And each blue zone has different built in systems for daily and deep connection. So, like, for example, in Okinawa, Japan, there's something called a moai, which is a group of lifelong friends who support each other emotionally, financially, and physically until death. So, you are basically born into a friendship circle that you will keep your entire life. Sardinians will gather every day to talk, to laugh, to drink wine. Dan's research also found that grandparents or aging parents have lower disease and mortality rates when living with or near children or grandchildren, and that committing to a life partner can add up to 3 years to your life expectancy. Here's another cool fact that he calls the grandmother effect, where not only does living in multi generational homes improve the health of the grandparents, but the children, the kids, are less likely to experience disease and more likely to do better in school when they live with or near grandparents. And the reason is because daily connection and community is that important from childhood to early age. So we're over here obsessing over protein and strength training when the secret to health is calling your grandma more or living nearby your family. There is studies on studies on studies that show community is the key factor to your well-being. But I want to share one more bit of science and then I'll get into some takeaways for you, how to actually apply this to change your life. But the last thing I want to touch on to prove how important your relationships are is the power of oxytocin. If you've heard of oxytocin, you probably know it as the love hormone. It's the chemical our brains release when we cuddle, when we hug someone we care about, even when we cuddle our dog, that counts, or we have like a meaningful, connected conversation. But what you might not know is how powerful oxytocin actually is in your body's hormone hierarchy. I learned about this reading Dr. Mindy Pelt's book. She explains that when your body is producing oxytocin, it helps regulate and stabilize other key hormones like cortisol, insulin, and estrogen. So, what this means is that we have scientific, biological proof that love literally heals. Connection balances your hormones. It affects every hormone in your body from your cortisol levels to your sleep hormones, to your hunger hormones, to your sex hormones that affect everything from your libido to your fertility to your periods. Oxytocin, the love hormone, also reduces addictive behavior. There is this one crazy study that shows this. It's actually really sad, and I don't like to think or talk about it because it was tested on rats, which I hate. Poor rats. But basically, one rat was in a cage with morphine laced water, which is super addictive because morphine, of course, triggers a massive dopamine response in the brain. And that's how it gets super addicting. This study was performed to test dopamine. This is so sad. I hate thinking about this, but basically, the rat will, 100% of the time kill himself within 2 days because he'll get so addicted to the morphine and he'll consume so much that he will die within 2 days of time. But when researchers ran the same experiment, but this time placed the rat in a cage with a pack of other rats, his community, none of the rats drank enough morphine laced water to kill themselves. They would have a little bit here and there, but not nearly as much as if it was a single rat in a cage alone. They didn't need that dopamine hit because they were getting oxytocin instead. So, what does this mean for you? This means that the more connected we are, literally, the more oxytocin is flowing through our system, the less we engage in destructive or addictive behaviors. We're less likely to binge eat, doom scroll, go for a glass of wine every night, or chase dopamine in ways that sabotage our health because we are getting the real stuff, the root of wellness, the thing that our brains and bodies are truly wired for, which is connection. So, yeah, that FaceTime call with your best friend is not just for fun or emotional support. It is a biochemical regulation. It's literally brain level healing. And my last point, the last kind of proof of how important our relationships are. In episode 224, Five Happy Girl Habits, what the happiest women in the world do every day, I talked a little bit about how the most important factor for happiness was our relationships. And I didn't exactly touch on why in that episode because I wanted to focus on five factors that were within your control, like how you view life. I mean, your community is in your control, but you know what I mean? And I heard from some of you that you wanted me to talk more about this. So here's why community is not just the most important factor for health, but for happiness too. This is extremely well researched and thoroughly proven. The nearly 80-year Harvard study of adult development showed that the top predictor of long term happiness and health, by the way, wasn't wealth, career success, or wellness routines. It was the quality of close relationships. Think about this. The longest running wellness study on earth says the depth of your relationships matters more for your health and happiness than your salary or your steps per day. And I know if you're also can nerd out on a good study like me, great. Welcome. I love you. Thanks for being here. But I know most people don't get super excited about studies. Why I think it's so important to talk about these studies is that we can hear all day, every day, relationships are crucial for your health. But our entire society is wired not to believe that. We are wired to believe that isolating ourselves and focusing instead on diet and exercise first and foremost is the secret to getting our health goals. So I want to give you all the possible research, everything you could possibly need to know to prove to you that society has freaking lied to you. You are focusing on the wrong things to optimize your well being. So I bet you're thinking now, okay, I get it, Josie. Community is important, but what do I do with that? Because the truth is, we're living in a culture that's made loneliness the default. We are texting in group chats way more often than we ever actually spend time with friends. We DM instead of make plans to keep up friendships. We live alone more than ever before. We work remotely. We shop online. We scroll through people's lives without actually being an in real life part of them. We have replaced community with convenience. I am so entirely guilty of this. I love being alone so much. I maybe will see friends one or two times per week. I spend so much time traveling for work stuff or family stuff that I don't make an effort as much as I want to travel to see my best friends. After a long day of work, Joey and I are so much more likely to sit on the couch and watch TV than to sit at a table and have a meaningful conversation together. So, this is our world, right? This is the world that we are living in. And beyond that, we have really glamorized individualization. We're told to grind, to be self sufficient, to not need anyone. We applaud independence, but we rarely talk about interdependence, the way humans were designed to live, that we actually are meant to depend on each other. Boundaries was the hugest buzzword of the last few years. We think we're being productive when we push people away in the name of discipline or self protection or self peace. And then there's how we view wellness like a solo sport. Like I was saying, we think we're leveling up when we cut out distractions, not realizing that sometimes the distraction is exactly what we need to be well. And of course, there's also fear. It is scary to be in close, intimate, vulnerable relationships. So many of us have been hurt, disappointed, left out. We are afraid to reach out, to be vulnerable, to be seen. It's freaking scary. We don't want to be a burden, so we keep everything to ourselves. But the irony is, the more we isolate to protect ourselves, the more we starve ourselves of exactly what we need. And we get caught in this stressful hamster wheel of the next expensive supplement or the next biohack that takes up so much time chasing healing when really the thing that research shows will heal us is the very thing that we've been taught to avoid. You guys, this loneliness epidemic is fucking real. But the good news is, because I know I'm beginning to sound a little too doomsday, connection is always available. And not only is it more available than you think it is, but it is how we are biologically wired when you realize that it is a biological need, that it's actually innate. It's going to feel so much easier. So, here is where we're going to make this shift and where we're going to redefine wellness and the way we live our lives. I want you to start treating connection the same way you treat your workout routine or your skincare routine. Meaning it's not optional. It's not like a nice thing you get to do if you have time, or it's not in this lumped in category of the fun stuff or free time. It is a core pillar of your health, just like movement, nutrition, and rest. Like, let's talk about discipline, okay? Because we are trained to prioritize our wellness around discipline. Wake up at 6 a.m. for the gym, track your steps, prep your smoothies. And that's all great. I'm not knocking your discipline. But if you would never miss a Monday workout, if your discipline ensures that you eat healthy 80% of the time, why are you okay missing a friend's birthday dinner? Why are you okay going days without seeing someone you love or spending genuine, real, uninterrupted, connected time? So, this is your invitation to view your relationships as not just a separate pillar of your health, maybe like the fun stuff you can get to after your health is taken care of, but the foundation for your health. And what a social first wellness routine might look like is scheduling a regular walk with a friend or creating a new ritual like Sunday night dinners or FaceTime Fridays. It might be as simple as saying yes more often when people invite you to hang out, even when you are tired or tempted to say at home in your robe watching Love is Blind. And trust me, I get it every day. All I want to do is stay on the couch and watch TV. But I promise you, you think you're tired, and sometimes you really may be. And the right thing for your body is for sure to go to bed early, relax by yourself, have a little recharge time. But a lot of the times, you're not actually tired. You are emotionally depleted. And connection is what recharges us so much more than Netflix and an early bedtime ever could. It might mean going on Bumble BFF to start building a community that really feels like you, that you want to spend more time with, to find the friend that you could just laugh together on the couch or run errands together instead of, only having some friends where you have to spend money and go out because that will get expensive. It might mean finding your third place, a yoga studio or a coffee shop, a space that you go to often that's not your home or work. And I'm not saying become an extroverted social butterfly and RSVP to every event just to check a box. Any other introverts out there might be sweating right now out of panic. This is not about performance. It is just about prioritizing the relationships that fill you up over anything else instead of sacrificing your relationships for what you think is wellness or productivity or whatever it is. And then this is the key: make connection the convenient and accessible option. Make it part of your actual routine, not something that just happens once a month when your calendars finally line up. So, for example, like if you go on a hot girl walk every day, call your mom or voice memo your best friend while you're walking. If you're already making dinner anyway, just double it and invite someone over to eat with you, even if it's just pasta and Trader Joe's frozen meatballs. If you work from home and you feel lonely during the day, find a friend and co work together once a week at a coffee shop. You don't need to throw a dinner party or go on a weekend trip to feel deeply connected. Sometimes it's just texting someone, want to walk around Target with me tonight? Or want to catch up for 20 minutes while I fold laundry? That I think is the real lesson from the blue zones, is that their communities are the default. It's the easy option. It is easier to be with the people you love than it is to be without them. So, in our world where loneliness is the default, we have to find these pockets and establish these routines that make connection and community the default part of life, the easy and accessible option. Also, let's stop feeling guilty for choosing people over protocols. I don't care how many times a day you meditate or how many adaptogens you've tried. If you're ignoring the people in your life because you're on a health kick, you are missing the point of health, period. That is, I guess, like the point I want to drive home. Laughing with your best friend over tacos might be the most healing thing you do all week. A phone call with your sister is medicine, even if it means skipping the gym. That is oftentimes likely the healthy option for you. Connection doesn't always have to be deep or profound. It can be silly. It can be really quick. It can just be I'm thinking of you text or hugging your friend multiple times when you are together to release all that oxytocin. That all will make a very big difference. So that's my soapbox. I think that is kind of like my one of my big missions in life because I care so much about the foods we eat and how we move our bodies and take care of our bodies and connect with our bodies. And obviously that's a huge priority and something I want to help you guys with 100%. But at the same time, we are ignoring what is the most important factor of our health. And not only that, but we're feeling bad about engaging and prioritizing something that we should have been engaging and prioritizing in. I particularly wanted to share this episode now when we're in this time of year where we start getting that guilt because we ate too much turkey on Thanksgiving or we have too much holiday punch or when we don't have time for our regular workouts and we drink more alcohol or we eat more sugar than usual. And yes, do all the things. In other episodes, I talk about health tips to support your body this time of year. But the most important thing that I want you to know is that the holiday party with your friends, the Thanksgiving dinner with your family is the wellness routine. Connection is not the thing that takes you off track. It is the track. The hugs, the laughter, passing the mashed potatoes, the traditions, the chaos, the remembering what actually matters, all of that is the main healing. And I do not want you to waste another second of your life worrying about your diet or gaining weight or whatever the hell it is while you are in the very moments that are the most healing for your health to begin with. How many Thanksgivings or holiday dinners have you spent thinking about, oh, I shouldn't be eating this. I'm going to feel like shit tomorrow. Instead of realizing that what you are in is probably the best medicine that you could get for yourself. So, this holiday season, I hope you prioritize people. I hope you make eye contact. I hope you say yes to plans. I hope you make memories that are not just looking good on your camera roll or Instagram feeds, but that actually makes you feel alive. Not just because you're a human being that deserves to be happy, because that should be number one, but also because this is wellness. This is what makes the other stuff like food and nutrition and sleep work. And if you've been feeling disconnected lately or isolated or lonely, or you've been feeling like you're falling off track, I hope this episode reminded you that your healthiest self was never meant to be a solo project and that your glow up, your winter arc might just start with picking up the phone, making a plan, letting yourself prioritize belonging and fun. We still have an episode coming out Thursday, even though it's Thanksgiving. I would never take a day off from getting to talk to you. And it is our monthly curriculum for December. So maybe take a listen when you're stuffed with turkey or if you need a walk in the morning to get in a good headspace. Before all of your Thanksgiving plans, I will be there for you. Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. I hope everyone soaks up all the connection, knowing that it is probably one of the most powerful health days you will have all year, no matter what you eat. And I will truly be giving thanks for you. I'm so glad that we get to do this life together, even if it's through your headphones. If this episode brought you any value, resonated with you, please let me know in the Spotify comments or Apple reviews. Getting your feedback is the way that I shape and form every future episode to know what you like and what more of, what resonates. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. Happy Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you on Thursday. enjoyed the episode, I know I sure did, please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at the Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.